if you would have known how much I've been waiting for this chapter. Magi, I think I've said this before in videos, but this is the only manga where I can't wait to read this shit so bad that I'll actually look at the raw and try to understand what's going on. I even went and read a Spanish translation that I can kind of understand for the most part, just because of how bad I wanted to see this chapter, because I saw one spoiler pic, and that was that picture of ARBA with that crazy fucking face. And say it, and I'll say it. That, what is it? That Magi greatness. Alright, if this isn't clarification for everyone out there as to the identity of Gyokuen, I don't know what will. And I really have to talk about a couple of things, first of all, that kind of pertain to this chapter as far as the identity of Gyokuen or whatever. Because in a flashback, when we got during the Magnastart War, towards the end, where Gyokuen revealed that she was from the Almataran, she was once a Magi that followed King Solomon and everything, things were still shrouded in mystery. And there was one panel that, if you go back to that flashback, you'll see, it was around like chapter, I believe, 193, 194, around there. And there was a panel, and you see a woman dressed with like all sorts of jewels and everything, and she has the same rod that Sheba had, and you see like all these people around her. And at the time, we really didn't have much information, so I immediately assumed, okay, that must have been Gyokuen in the past. And then once we seen Sheba in our timeline, we thought, okay, she has the staff, it totally makes sense. But upon further examination with this chapter, when we seen Sheba, when she goes on the preaching and she changes her clothes up and everything, she has the jewels, more than likely what we saw back then was Gyokuen or ARBA thinking of what happened in Almataran and how she had to face down Sheba. And that was actually probably Sheba and that little flashback mini thing with all the jewels, and when she actually had to face ARBA in a massive war. I honestly believe that connecting everything, connecting all the dots, I think that ARBA and her ultimately have an incredible face-off, because this chapter kind of clarifies, for the most part, it seems as though, because people were saying, why did he mention David? And I was like, I'm sure that's not David. He has eyebrows. David doesn't, bro. But it seems as though King Solomon is a vegetable. And I think at this particular point, the only thing he could possibly do is the very last thing. I think the next time we're actually going to see Solomon, if he ever returns to his senses, you know, the root from Solomon, it might be at the end to create that new world. And that's the last thing he will do, because other than that, Solomon, I don't know if it's just that the root fucked him up so badly, or that he just got so fucking old that he can't do anything. I mean, he can't see. All he keeps replying is, yes, everyone is one in this world, no matter what Sheba says. This chapter was tragic. This chapter, I felt it was very tragic, as far as like Sheba's marriage and everything that she hoped and wished for. It's down the drain after this one. I mean, he's a dummy there. There's nothing really to him at this point. He's just kind of like a figurehead at this point, so to speak. And to be honest with you, I honestly felt like within this chapter, one of the big gripes, while they do have multiple gripes, but one of the big ones that Ethnon, Wahid, and Phelan had, of course, there's a lot of other stuff. And I'm not trying to put it in a minuscule light, their struggle. However, I will say that they seem like they're kind of jealous and salty at the same time, that they're now on equal footing with everyone except Ugo, ARBA, and Sheba, because they were the only ones that made it into that portal. Like, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't have probably flipped on them had they not had this weaker magic, and had they had like the same level as the three Magi. And this kind of also confirms where the three Magi began, because pretty much anybody that goes to that vortex or whatever gets the powers of a Magi, and that kind of explains as well what happened with Titus in our timeline. And you can see as well, like, Arba's provoking everyone in this chapter. She basically interjected, because at first Ethnon was like, oh, okay, so destiny is pretty much gone, because for the most part it seems as though the biggest gripe that Ethnon has, it might be the power, but the biggest thing is destiny. He doesn't want destiny to exist. He's like, get destiny out of here. This is not, I don't want to be trapped in this cage called destiny. And when Sheba was explaining, it's like, no, Solomon was trying to dispel things. Solomon was a good guy. You know him. And then ARBA interjects, well, no, it's actually that he's controlling destiny now and not Illah. So in a way, ARBA was still, while she's trying to play like she's nice and she's on our side, for the most part, you can see that she's little by little edging in her distaste for what happened. And I feel bad for Ethnon, Wahid, and Phelan, because they lost their loved ones. That's another big thing that's pushing them. And ultimately, they just are kind of like, fuck. But to a certain degree, I almost feel like they're kind of spoiled brats. They're like, well, Solomon didn't give us the power, and how dare he think he's the bomb? It's like, he just gave up his fucking existence. He's just there, a vegetable. He gave up his existence for you guys, and you're looking at him like he's an asshole. Are you kidding me? He has a child on the way, and he gave up his life for you motherfuckers, so you can be happy, for this world can be happy, and you look at him like he's wrong? fuck? Where they do that at? And this just looked like one of those big family fights that you just don't want to see, that is cringeworthy when they're just going at it. Sheba loses it because at the end of the day, you can clearly see Sheba is a devoted woman. She's staying by Solomon's side regardless. She's following his ideals to the T. She doesn't care. But they've already fallen into depravity. Even if they don't have black root, let's just say, in them, they're completely fucked. The only one that it makes me wonder, because if everyone has been purified, why hasn't ARBA been purified, and why does she still have these evil ideals? What's so special about ARBA compared to everyone else? And it was tear-worthy when she was trying to talk to Solomon, and she was basically like, you know, trying to make light conversation or anything, and he just keeps on replying, yes, everyone is all one now. It honestly made me, and I could definitely see that, like, Otaka doing this arc, it needed to be done this way. It needed a slow but steady pacing because it made me care about the characters. If this was 1 or 2 chapters, I would have said, I don't give a flying fuck, let's go back to Aladdin. It made me really care when she's just there like, my life is over with him, you know, it's done. And going back into my prediction mode, okay, so pretty much what I'm gathering is I honestly believe Sheba's going to die in this one. Everyone else is going to get sent to the other world. I think Sheba's going to die and Arba's going to get her staff. What's going to happen is between now and that particular point, since it's probably going to be a few years, the little one, Aladdin, will be born at some point. More than likely, Ugo is going to come up with the system of turning them into jinn so that they can go to the other world. I think Ugo is definitely going to be the one that sets up this foundation because no one else can at this point. He's a smart guy. So you got Ugo there that he's going to do that. And I honestly believe when all is said and done, when the fight goes down, it's going to be Sheba leading the pack to fight Arba and, you know, Wahid and Phelan and Ethan, which is so fucking sad. Like, poor little Sheba. It's almost as if the roles are reversed. And the ironic nature of it is just fucking ridiculous. Like, she started off as she was working with the Orthodox. Well, they all started off with Orthodox, but when the story started off, she was with the Orthodox. They were all on the other side. And now the roles are reversed and she's on the good side and it's pretty much them being fucking dicks. So I think while all that is going on, Ugo is going to go to the Sacred Palace with Aladdin and basically hide there. Probably all he could do, which is going to be unfortunate. But I think I see it all playing out within the end. After Sheba's death, Solomon might snap to his senses for a split second and use that magic to send everyone to another world, and he probably just can't take it. It's like, it's going to be tragic, but you heard it here first, people. I truly believe Sheba's going to die at Arba's hands, and that's how she has the staff. So salty of them being in the streets trying to bring down Solomon's name. I mean, one of the things I will say that this chapter isn't perfect, and it was like a little bit annoying, is you can see the pacing we went like 10 chapters or 11 chapters of Sheba and Solomon's relationship building up, and within these like past few chapters, things have been progressing a lot quicker, but then this chapter, it was kind of like 1 minute they're like, fuck you, no, they're dissing her on the streets, and then within like a couple pages, it was like, oh, but they finally changed and they came around. And that was at that point that they probably came up with their plan with Arba to overthrow Solomon and everybody. And oh my gosh, that page where we see Arba's sadistic face is like, this is clearly the setup to probably the last couple of chapters of Al-Mataran. And it's unfortunate that they did a speed up. Shinobu definitely sped this up. She probably had another 10 to 20 chapters of this set up and prepared to go, but people have been really saying, even in Japanese forums and everything, we want Aladdin back, we want Morgiana back, we want the main cast. So that's probably what the speed up was for. And it's unfortunate because it was a great chapter, but at the same time at the end it's starting to like go in a direction where it's kind of like, yeah, we need to get the fuck up out of here. And I hate when that happens. Like, let the manga tell a story. I might even be a little bit bored at times, but it's appropriate and it needs to be told that way, so that way it all flows better and it doesn't get rushed. And this is seemingly the beginning of the end, where Arba is creating those black jinn and overall trying to resurrect Illah to fuck shit up. Great chapter. The ending felt way too rushed, but ultimately it's still like, Shinobu Otaka, I love you, man. You're fucking awesome. Magi, like, I love all the manga that I review, of course. You know, I really enjoy everything, but there's something special about Magi where I could sit with my friends and talk for 2 or 3 hours straight, predictions and stuff, and I only get that with Magi, and I love everything about it, from the character designs to the art to the story, and just all these mysteries around it. Fucking great shit. So I'm gonna give this one 9 out of 10, taking a point away because the direction now is definitely going in a more speeded direction, and it's like, we probably have 5 chapters max of Al-Mataran, where, and to a certain degree, I wanted things to speed up, but it just feels like it's taking certain things away. We should have had a little bit more of a natural flow with how things were going when they were like, all right, fuck you, and then it was like, oh, okay, no, they're, you know, turning around, but they're faking it. So, yeah, still a great chapter, though. 9 out of 10. It's like, poor Sheba, she gotta fight this alone. It almost makes me look at Solomon like, you're a dick, bro. You're a dick for fucking making Sheba have to go through all this by herself. Yeah, you meant well, but you left your woman out high and dry, and she was a devoted one. Damn. But let me know what you guys think. What do you think? Do you think that that's how everything is going to play out? How it's basically going to be Sheba versus Arba in the end, and it's going to be this crazy fight, and also how is ARBA and the rest of them going to make it to the new world? How are they going to jump into this portal to the other world? And just your overall thoughts of this chapter. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, you can do so as well. That'd be awesome. I'm Finette World, and as always, people, have an awesome day. If you would have known how much I've been waiting for this chapter. Magi, I think I've said this before in videos, but this is the only manga where I can't wait to read this shit so bad that I'll actually look at the raw and try to understand what's going on. I even went and read a Spanish translation that I can kind of understand for the most part, just because of how bad I wanted to see this chapter, because I saw one spoiler pic, and that was that picture of ARBA with that crazy fucking face. And say it, and I'll say it. That, what is it? That Magi greatness. Alright, if this isn't clarification for everyone out there as to the identity of Gyokuin, I don't know what will. And I really have to talk about a couple things, first of all, that kind of pertain to this chapter as far as the identity of Gyokuin or whatever. Because in a flashback, when we got during the Magnus War, towards the end, where Gyokuin revealed that she was from the Alma Tehran, she was